Hi everybody, typical usual me. I've come out and started doing some whittling today. I first of all got as far as that and thought, I've done something similar to this before, I'm sure. I thought I'd get a Santa popping at the top of the chimney, bigger stack of bricks maybe, something like that. So I got as far as that and I thought, I need to start making a bit of a pattern for this because people are going to be asking me, where's the measurements, where's the pattern? So something for me to get used to. I have done this so far. It's come out of a 10 centimetre, which is 4-inch block of wood by just over 1 inch, just under 3 centimetres. Okay, and they squared. Okay, I made a few lines already, some bricks that I'll put on here. Get the general idea from that. Really easy to do. Make some rough guides of where you want the bricks, put a B tool or carve it with a knife. When you're doing the carving, don't make them perfect. Take a little notch out here, a little notch out there, a little cut out with the B tool or slice with a knife. Make it uneven. Okay, so I'm going to start going in underneath this nose. Usual thing, going underneath the front, a little bit to each side. This is going to be where the top of the hat is going to be, with a rim or brim, whichever way you want to call it. So the nose is going to go in at that angle, and the eyes will be inside here somewhere. So I've gone in there about 7 millimeters. I look square on. How much in the bottom? Probably 5. Clean that up just a little bit. Nose, we know. The nose, we know, goes in from the sides at an angle. So we're getting that just a little bit into shape there. And we're going to come down just a little bit more by here, where his chin will be. I know that this is going to be down 3 centimeters, I believe we said. Just over 3 centimeters. So you want to come down to the 35 millimeters to this point here. Okay. And then at that point, we need to take the edges off. I've made these lines as the usual things would be, where you go around the back and forth centres to get the centres in. And then I've divided that centre line down each side as well, and then divided it by half as well, so you get the centre line and then you get the line to make it quarters all the way around the block, okay? So what I want to do now, though, is go into this first quarter equally up each side. So a bit like that. So roll in the knife at the bottom and then doing each one then. Going in a little bit more there than I should have, but that'll be fine. This knife, I get a few questions about the knife I use quite often in my videos so far. It's been probably my favourite one in the videos, you've probably noticed. It's done by Chris Denham. I hope I'm pronouncing that well for you, Chris. He's provided these for me a few years back now. I've got 3 at the moment. I've got another one coming on the way as well. You do want to contact Chris. He's on Facebook. I'm not sure he's going to be making knives for much longer. I know he's stopped at the moment, but I think he might do a couple more. So if you are looking for knives, by all means contact me and I'll put you in touch with Chris if he's still making them. I'm not sure if you can see him on Facebook or not, so I'm not going to tell you to contact him directly on Facebook. And I don't know if he'd want to be anyway, so contact me first, guys, if you do want to speak to him, and I'll see what he says. So all corners are done down, and I've rounded the same sort of, not rounded, sliced into the corners at like a 45-degree angle as well, just to get the corners out of the way. Now what we're going to do is get these lines back in place again. So I put in line the brim of the hat all the way around. I might have forgotten to mention that at the start, so if I show you on a different piece here, on the brim, white part of the hat, for example, this part, that is going around the hat. You're basically drawing a line, although it's going round the bend of the wood. You're starting 5mm down at the front here, and you're drawing the line to 25mm down from the top. 25mm, yeah. To the bottom part of the brim of the hat, okay? Hope I explained that well enough. I think I did. So if I didn't end the side, I'll get it good straight for now at the back of the hat head. So what I want to do now is come in on that brim, just under it. So rather than go in square, straight in, and come in at a slight angle, how do I put it for you? So you can see it. So rather than go in at 90 degrees, there's a good angle for you guys there. Rather than going at 90 degrees like that, I'm going to slightly angle the knife forward, so I can always undercut this back at a later time. So just get enough to get in there. Trying to get the right angle for camera to get underneath the brim of that hat. So you can see when it comes down the side here. Okay. Follow it up all the way to the top. I don't think you need to make anything precision here. I mean, yes, it's nice to be able to keep things square and all the rest of it, but I don't think you really need to on the top here at all. That, of course, is entirely up to you, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be something you have to strictly do then, if that would be a better word for it. And what I would like to do then is get up underneath that hat, the sides. Okay. Leaving now the location where your ear is going to be on the sides. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm still going to do this other, the second quarter at the back here now. When I get underneath that brim a little bit. All the time, it's just starting to round the face a little bit. And it's nearly there on that one. Right, so now I'm underneath. I want to have a ear here. So the ears are down the side. You can see I've marked it on that one. Now the markings I've got are coming up on this line here. This is the quarter line. So the ear's going to be roughly here and down to the bottom brim of that hat. It's not going to be much of a ear, but it's going to line up with the bottom of that nose. Okay, so across here and up there. It's only going to be the bottom half of the ear. It's just going to show a little, just to give that extra bit of character, okay? Let's get that marked in correctly. There we go. And I think I'll come around a little bit more on that as well. I'll try and explain that a little better. So when you're starting off with that ear, it's always better to make it a little bit bigger on this space that you're going to avoid touching this now. This cross isn't to take out, this cross is to stay. Okay, you're going to take everything out all around this now, so that the ear is above the rest of the head, so the ear pokes out. So just going to go in a little at a bit of an angle again, just like we did with the brim of the hat. And I'm just going to kind of make a little mini sort of V mark in there, if you like, cutting in each side. And rolling that knife up to get underneath the earlobe. Okay. A bit like that. More definition will come in a bit. But yes. So there, I went across from underneath the ear to the nose. Now what we're going to try and do is get that chunk there between the back end of that ear there, or the front of this ear, to the corner of this face. So basically you're slicing out that corner there. So I go back in there just to give myself a little cut underneath there. I know what I'm heading for then. And I'm going to use the tip of that nose to the top front part of that ear. I'm just going to take that piece off like that. And same then this side. Give myself a bit of a stop cut there, so I know what I'm heading for. And not end up taking the rest of the hat off with a nice big swoop. I'm going to go from the tip of this nose to the back of that ear. I'm going to go up. Take that off. Like that. So at this point, it can be any sort of human man face with a hat of pretty much any kind. I suppose you could make it into a cowboy hat, you make it into a bowler cap, cat hat, I mean. Or you could make it into the Santa that we're going to do today. Now for the Santa, you want a little, maybe a bald on the side that's come from the top of the hat. So to get this in place, go on the side of the carving, and you can see where I've used that line coming down to go down to the bottom. Then I've come back up then at the same sort of angle. We'll go up a little bit in the centre of that and repeat that all the way around. Again, making this bigger than what's needed possibly. Start off halfway between this line and this line we've got here. Same here. But come out larger as you go up. Doesn't matter which direction you take that, it's just where that will be sort of flopping around the top of the hat eventually. And again, this now, you won't go inside of that. You'll just mark it out and then go in with the knife just gently all the way around, creating a little line in there. To make that rim of the hat. Careful making that cut, that you don't end up, if you've got particularly got a hard block of wood, you don't want to come in slicing your hands, so just put your thumb underneath there slightly and just come in knowing that you're going to stop. So you're using your wrist to stop and you're not going to be coming back. It'd be pretty much impossible for me to do that there. And the same all the way around. Could even do it from that direction there. Okay, getting up quite close there for you in the camera. That rim of that hat now. Sitting prouder than what the colour of the top of the hat. So I know traditionally maybe it wasn't red, but we'll just for this argument's sake say everything is, the hat is going to be red for now, so we know what colours we're doing and what part of the hat we're talking about. So the top part here will be red, like this one, and then the ball will be white. Okay. So going all the way around there, and then you can do the same then with the rim of the ball. So once you've got that sort of marked out a little bit there with the knife, you can take the knife at an angle and give it a cut back. And again, starting from the middle of that sort of area, make it come out wider. And then square it off. Okay, just keep on going in there then, until you're happy with the depth, what you want it to be. I'm not going to go in much further at this point. We've got lots more parts to shape up before getting into any detail. Okay. Trim a little bit all the way around that red part of that hat now. Okay. Going to go around the bottom of the ball of the hat as well, just to give it a little bit of a depth there to the brim of the hat. Just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. And again, I'm not doing any detail on it yet. I'm just making sure that I mark it out so I know where things are. Okay. Okay, now then, let's have a look what we've got next. We're going to have the wall somewhere around here on the carving, so if you go 6 centimeters from the bottom up, or 45 millimeters from the top down, 45 millimeters. So an inch and 3/4. Just roughly put a line there. Now then, you can see where the face is going to be coming through all round in there. So we got the top of his bottom, sorry, of his cheeks there. If you angle that in just a little bit, everything is just a little bit, like so. Okay, and that then is going to come down, and you'll have his beard or whatever you want to put in here. And then you can come back up then underneath where his chin is going to be. So for example, put a beard in there. A beard in there. so. And you can obviously make the marks down here for all the beard marks that you're going to put in with either a gouge or a V-tool or whatever you're going to use the knife, maybe Whittling the knife only. You can do that. And then the bottom then you'll come in, which will be the wall itself, all the way around here. So you can now go around that all the way around the block at that height, creating the top of the wall. That's up to you. If you want to be really fussy, you make that a perfect height wall all the way around, or if you want to get a bit rustic with it, then you can just do freehand all the way around. Whatever you fancy, make it yours. It does not have to be the same. Okay, and I'll continue to do that and come back in the next part. So let's draw in a little where the moustache is going to be in the centre, and then we can take back this nose now. This nose is going to go back quite a bit. Giving us enough room left for the moustache he's going to have. I think that might be enough, but let's go a little bit more. Okay, straighten up that nose a little bit. Clean up the bottom. There we go. Really should straighten that tip up, shouldn't I? There we go. That's a little bit better, sharper. Get a straighter line this time, hopefully. Down there. And it'll come around up there. So I'm just going to draw a V shape. Down there. Then I'm going to come underneath that there and come into it like so. I don't really want to go much deeper than that, but let's get this chin, beard, etc. back a little bit more. That's better. Now I'm going to go straight across the centre, the bottom of that there, and then I'm just going to make a little neck in there, trying to get the angle for the camera. Just take that out. tips of the end there. It's a bit rounder. And there's his moustache. What you could do if you had the V-tool is just do exactly that again. Just go in along the edge there. Along the edge there in that shape of the V that we did. Then you could angle the V-tool in that direction. Just to take that V out from the moustache here. Okay, that's all good. There we go. There's not a great deal left to do in this now. We've got some eyes to put in here. So we're going to go in the side of that nose there. Under here. Same here. Just go in at a slight downward angle. And then up to it from the bottom. And that gives you where the two eyes are going to be. The easiest way to get an eyebrow on there, I'll do it one side with a V-tool and I'll use the knife to the other side, is you could create your top one by just getting in a little bit tighter to that hat to give you that little bit extra depth there. Make the mark at the top of the eyebrow, and you'd only take in a little slither out here. By rolling that knife around there. And if you do the same just above that eye socket there, once you paint that, you'll see the shadow effect you'll have to the eyebrow. Tiny, tiny slither. We can do the same over here. I'm making sure I got it on camera for you. It's difficult to see the actual item myself, so I'm looking at the camera to record that. And then do the bottom underneath as well. Again, tiny slither is all you're looking for. There we go. It's surprising when you paint that, how much that will show up, causing that sort of shadow. Go in just above there. So creating his ears, now a lot of people don't put the ear in at all, just as if the hat has just covered them. It isn't something most beginners would want to get really into, but we'll do it for the sake of the video. So at the moment we've got that little triangle in that corner there. Okay. Now if you're going to imagine a ear, you'll have little squiggly bits in here, but for caricatures, what you can do is just put the ear there like that as a basic ear, and have that come around the back end of the ear there. And the same this side. Take that part out and leave in a bit of a ear at the back. Okay, that is as far as I would go. Definitely as a beginner if you're going to attempt it at all. Again, if you're going to use a knife, it's going to be a little more difficult, which is why it's very handy to have a small gouge like that at hand. It's one of the tools I think I started off with, a small set of the flex cut knives. I think it was a pack of 4 or 5 blades come in there. It's a V-tool, a gouge, a flatter gouge and a smaller round, I believe it was in there, or it might have been that single blade. It's like a pointy one. Forget the name of that. So with a knife, you're more or less just going to get a triangle out, sort of shaped like so, until you're down to the bottom of the ear. I'll show that close on there. Hopefully that's still in focus here. All you're going to end up doing is just getting a triangle cut up there. Until you go down to the bottom. And then do the triangle cut there at the back. At the same time though, this part here needs to come almost flat, if not flat, to the side of the head, okay? Leaving that protruding further out, okay? But I'm going to demonstrate it now today with the gouge. So you come in back of the top, leaving some of the ear on there at the back, and just take small amounts off until it comes right down. Like so. Okay. If you have a smaller gouge, again, so there's the differences in sizes. Okay. This one's a number 9, and this is a D7 for, okay, so that's the size and the width. So there's 7 on the round, I believe, and there's 4mm from tip to tip. Okay. If you have a smaller one, you've got the advantage of getting in right up at the edge of the face there, like that, creating more depth on the centre of that ear. Just be careful which way the grain is going. It's usually best that you almost scrape it out rather than try and dig up. You might splinter off another piece of wood that you really don't want off, and then end up with no ears at all. Okay. The back of the ear, if you take that triangle that's left behind the ear there out, there we go. And then slice this down. So this is the high area and that's the lower area. There's a tiny triangle there. Last of all, make another small triangle insertion in there. Take that out. Come in here, again with a knife, and that leaves you with a bit of a ear. My advice on them is do a couple with it and see how you go. You could always cut it off. And then just round every bit off. All the way around. When you start off, they may not look great. But again, if you leave the basic shape there, as you advance, you can always go back to the carving and just take a little bit out again. I mean, on there now, you can get one of the smaller tools, like the dock tools they call them. Or again, the smaller flex cut gouges, you can just go around the edge. If I got a V tool here, yeah. Get the smaller one than this though, and just go around the edge of that ear, creating different lines again. And when you paint it, you'll be surprised how much that will make a difference again. Okay, so I'll do it in a bit more hastier speed on this side now. Hopefully without causing too much damage. Edge of the ear off there. The back of the ear off here. So that's out. Round it off slightly. And then make it to join flat with the face. Do that one with a knife. See? And round some of the edges off, get rid of the pencil mark. There we go. We've now got his cheeks in there. His nose. You've got the eyebrows in here. You've got going underneath the cheeks, you've got the ears, the moustache and the beard. It's pretty much everything there. As with the beard, you can make these quite simple by putting a couple of notches down at the bottom of the beard to start with. Only a few. Okay. I'm not sure whether that's showed on camera, so I'll try and take different angles. Then go for the middle of the beard, doing the same thing, opposite to the lines that you had before. Back in. And then do the ones then going up to the top as well. Trying to show you different angles, making sure you can see it with the lighting. Is that good? Yep. Always the opposite to what the previous one was in the stage below. So you're going in between the lines. Okay. Now you can get very complicated beards, but I think myself that does a pretty good job of it. I'll try and focus the camera for you now directly on it and see what I can do by changing the light a little bit. So I'll show up a little better. Okay. Sorry if the camera was shaking there. You can press pause in the video, is what I would do. I think you can see it. And then the same for the moustache. You can start by making a small one as close as you can inside, going up. And the same again, make one to this side and then go in between those from the centre back. See if I can get a pencil line in there so you can see what I've done. Might have highlighted it a bit better for you. So I'm just going to again do the first one from as close as you can in here. just to have something there and go right round to the edges. Might be better with a knife. I'll introduce you to Gail Larson's knife here. It's got a very, very, very fine point on it. So with that, I'm going to go in as much of an angle as I can one direction. Then I'm going to come back in on the other direction and take that piece out. Then I'm going to go this side of the moustache and do the same again. Just take a small piece out. Is that staying in focus? I'm not sure if I kept that on camera or not. So I got one V, tiny V there, and I got another V by there. Yeah, I think the camera still got it. You won't get it from this angle. No. Okay. And then do another long one, best you can from this angle. And take the finest piece, hair of a whisker of a piece of wood there, splinter would be a good word to describe it. Again, see if I can get this pencil mark in here for you. There's one line there, there's one line there, and then there's a line that comes around there. And that's about it. He's pretty much done. Paint the body the red. You could leave, for example, a line going up the centre, like so. Put a chip in each side, like a small V cut. And again with the V tool. Just making one cut each side there. So that'll be like the white part of the fur coat. So you just paint this bit white, and this then can be red. Its arms would usually be by here. So you could, if you wanted to go round again, is the easier one with the V tool. Getting quite a bit of detail now, not necessarily for beginners, but I'll do it for the sake of it. You don't have to do it. Go around a little bit there. Go around here. And only a little bit, you're not going in too deep. As if his arms are squeezed inside of that chimney. Just like so. When you paint it again, that will sort of show up a lot more again. But if you're a beginner, I would just paint the bottom all red. Maybe make a very thin mark with a knife, cutting a tiny V out to go around that side one direction, and then underneath then to cut that slice out. Okay, and that'll be it, just about done. I guess if I need to do a painting video, we will. I might make that in a separate one and make it as a short or something. I might include a little picture at the end of this video now as well. But if you like my videos, please remember to click like and subscribe if you can. Usually release at least one every weekend and a short, or maybe two in the week. If there's anything in particular you'd like me to have a go at carving, I'd happily take on any comments that people are going to make in the videos. I'd like to give a big shout out at this point to Doug Linker and Jean Messer, who inspired me to do these videos. And I know they're still both out there, still doing it as well. And thank you very much to everyone else who's watched. Have a great day. Bye.